combos put down. His light definitely isn't central, whereas Surrender is
looks a little bit
glowing in comparison. Look at it, it honestly looks like there's going to be some sort of moody style photo shoot taking place, or is about to read some very deep poetry. One or the other, I'm not sure. Maybe even both.
We can ask him later.
I will ask him later,
Okay.
100%. But we go into game number 1, Surrender from SKT, one of the most well-known players in the world, especially probably the top-tier Korean player, versus FroStee, relatively underdog and unknown player from Australia, known within the pro scene,
right.
but within the general followers of Hearthstone and Hearthstone esports, you may not have seen this guy play outside of Grandmasters or even really heard about him. But he is here, and he feels the pressure, and he is here to make a difference and really get his name and his brand out there.
FroStee mulligan pretty quickly. I don't even think we got a chance to see it. Surrender taking almost the entire duration, trying to figure out what he wants to keep and what he wants to toss back. Looks like I believe it looked like he tossed everything. He might have kept an elephant. I'm not sure.
Yeah, interesting. If he keeps the Elic, is that suggesting that he wants to play it on curve? Because normally, there are a couple of things you can do. You can hold Elics and hold bomb procs to be able to just guarantee, okay, Elic Goblin swing weapon or Elic Goblin Goblin, to shuffle as many bombs as possible in. But if you keep it, surely you're playing it on turn 3, right?
Yeah.
Or 2 maybe. With the you said there weren't many 2-drops,
right.
With the help of coin, it helps.
I'm not sure he did keep it, but it's possible that he did it.
Okay.
Again, yeah, if he did, it would make a nod to well, I need to fight for board early because that's what's important. Obviously, having Dr. Boom Mad Genius is also very important in this matchup, but without that, you need to do something else, right? You can't just wait for that card if it just doesn't happen to pop up.
Yep, if you missed it in your mulligan, then you play the game until you draw it, pretty much. And I think he's considered a few options here.
He can either Omega Assembly now, just to find something to play over the next few turns. He can coin Elic, perhaps. I think if he had Clockwork Goblin, he might feel a bit happier about coining out the Elic. He's going to do it anyways because he wants to fight for board.
Right.
But I think with the Clockwork Goblin in hand, this decision would be a lot easier because it'd be very difficult for FroStee to actually deal with the Elic on turn 3. On turn 4, we have the option of Militia Commander to come out, or even Wrench Caliber, although that doesn't quite deal with the Elic. But there's not a whole lot that can come out that can deal with it now.
I think it literally has to be Weapon Project Shield Slam,
Yeah.
right? I don't think there's anything else on turn 3 with the 0 coin that would actually deal with this Elic whatsoever. So even if you start just pushing some damage, and the second your opponent has to start using those removal tools, as you can see now, it's like, okay, well, one, Surrender's gained the tempo of the weapon himself, because that's the way Weapons Project works.
Yep.
But then most importantly, okay, one shield slam down, I still have a minion on board, let's continue and and keep pushing and keep going here.
Yeah, Warrior doesn't happen to go super wide, so if these early single target removal spells come out, Surrender can take advantage of this later, knowing, oh, he's down a shield slam, I can just play something out.
Right. And now, again, just a tough call. Like, the Omega Assembly is so good late game, but passing a turn when Surrender's already kind of signified that he wants to play a little bit more aggressive is going to hurt as well. But if he's going for the armor up right now, he definitely isn't playing Omega Assembly this turn.
Right.
Just going to armor up.
I think Omega Assembly is too important of a tool to just use out for tempo unless you're on the brink of killing your opponent and you need one last push. So I think Surrender's correct in knowing that he'll get to at least turn 10 this game and be able to get the full value of these Omega Assemblies.
And here's the question I was asking a little bit earlier. Does this Acolyte come down? It's a tough one.
Tough to say. FroStee could even consider just playing out the Omega Devastator.
It's hovering the Acolyte. Okay, so FroStee isn't worried about getting to fatigue quicker. He deems that the card draw must just make him have a better chance of winning the game sooner than fatigue issues are going to happen anyway.
Right, I think being able to guarantee Boom as fast as possible, not Blastmaster Boom, Dr. Boom Mad Genius, that is. I think that's what FroStee's looking for here. Eventually, Omega Devastator can be used for tempo on turn 10, obviously. The Battle Cry is very powerful, deal 10 damage to a minion. You could tempo it out early, and it has not quite the same function, but it's still a tempo play. But he does opt for the Acolyte here to get some extra cards in hand.
Yeah, funnily enough, it does give Surrender a decent target for this Militia Commander as well, because otherwise, if he wanted to play something this turn, realistically, Militia Commander would have just been a plain 2/5 for 4 mana, but instead there's some value there and negating some card draw for FroStee. The big deal for FroStee as well, that even if Surrender did the whole, like, okay, I'll triple draw your Acolyte, FroStee's on like 4 cards, so it's like, great. Now I'm on more, now I end up being on 8 cards on his turn, which gives him way more options.
Yeah, but it's an interesting dynamic based on what the context of both players' hands are. That kind of dictates if they want to draw more and find other
Right.
things that they need to win the game, or if it's something that they don't want to draw anymore, get them closer to either A, fatigue, or B, a thinner deck where bombs are more likely to pop up.
Yep. It's kind of tricky, isn't it? There's definitely multiple ways you can play this matchup.
I think Surrender here deciding if he wants to use the second swing of the weapon and saying, if you have Harrison, you have Harrison, it's fine.
So now we're starting to see, Augmented Elic, there's Wrench Caliber. I think outside of the weapons project, neither players are playing. Oh, sorry, both players are playing Harrison, but there are no oozes, so there's no, I'll say, like, extra weapon removal. There's just the one of.
I'm kind of curious why if FroStee is going to end up playing the Omega Devastator for tempo. I'm curious why he didn't do it last turn, because last turn, maybe he was expecting the Militia Commander to come down and saying, all right, I don't want you to get a free trade on this Omega Devastator. Let me throw out the Acolyte, get a draw off of it, and then the turn after, I'll develop this Devastator after you've already used the Militia Commander Battlecry.
Seems reasonable to me,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what would have happened. He would have played his Omega Devastator into Militia Commander, and if the Militia Commander trades, although they're both 4-drops, in terms of game value, I would put Surrender at the winner in that outcome, because Omega Devastator can be played late game.
Unfortunately for FroStee, Surrender has the second Militia Commander, but it does put FroStee in a situation now where he could use this Brawl, at least to clean up a couple minions, which is not often the easiest tool to use in the Warrior Mirror. Like we said earlier, the Warrior does not tend to go wide. In some cases like this, Surrender has gone a little wide.
Fortunately for FroStee, though, in this matchup, he does have a pillow, which taking some notes from Saiyan from the Americas region, just saying, well, in a Warrior matchup, whoever's got the pillow with them is actually the favored one.
Instead of using the Brawl, FroStee opts to just swing to clear out the 2-1 Militia Commander, playing out the Acolyte, continuing to try and draw towards what I can only imagine is Dr. Boom at Genius.
Yeah.
Surrender picks up a Clockwork Goblin. He has the Wrench Caliber in hand, which he can use to override his Weapons Project weapon if he wants to just make a clean hit on the Acolyte. Knows that he's not going to be trading those minions into the Acolyte, so those immediately go face, and now he's trying to isolate the decision points. Dynomatic would be could provide some collateral damage, so he probably doesn't want to throw that out. Probably sticking to the game plan of saving Omega Assembly on until turn 10, so he's debating whether he wants to commit more to the board with the Clockwork Goblin or just equip a Wrench Caliber.
Yeah, I think in this matchup, you've got to look for specific targets for Dynomatic. So Harrison Jones and the Elic as well, and even to a certain extent, it actually kills the Dr. Boom. The Blastmaster Boom, should I say?
Yeah.
So you've got to just spot your targets for Dynomatic in this matchup, because there are only a couple.
I think this is a very interesting play from Surrender. So he's saying, all right, FroStee, if you want to draw more cards, draw more cards. I'm putting enough minions on the board that are pressuring you. Let's ignore that bomb. It did happen, but pretend FroStee was at 23 health. In the Warrior Mirror, if Warriors are just armoring up, the health totals don't really go down that much. But Surrender has enough of an early board that he's been able to pressure FroStee to the point where all this damage will add up and eventually the bombs will go off. So he's saying, FroStee, all right, if you thin your deck enough, these bombs are going to go off even quicker. I've already reduced your health total to 23. Now with the bomb, it's 18. If you want to draw cards, go for it. And he's also using the final charge of the Weapons Projected weapon that FroStee gave him, maximizing all of the damage output he can get with these weapons, so saving the Wrench Caliber for later.
Yeah, it's really nice, actually, because you look at the Wrench Caliber now, well, say that's 2 bombs if Harrison doesn't come down, right?
Sure.
Okay, well, then now your opponent's on 5.
Right.
5 is a small number, even with a more slower, sort of, even if you count Bomb Warriors as sort of like control deck, kind of. But it's still definitely doable, and Surrender's just turning up the heat. And on the flip side, although Frosty's just double bombed, shuffled into Surrender's deck with the help of the Elic, well, Surrender's on 38. Like, he's got plenty of health, and there's another Wrench Caliber.
So that's the thing. In theory, both players have the same amount of bombs they can shovel into their opponent's deck. But if Surrender was on the front foot this whole time, pushing a little bit of damage every turn, if the bombs come at about the same pace, someone's going to die first, and it's going to be the one who took more chip damage early. I mean, sometimes you can't have the hand to play into that, right? If FroStee didn't draw his Eternium Rover or something else to play on curve, that happens. But Surrender's making a great example of what you should be doing in this situation.
A bit of a sign, a puff of air there for Frosty as he's like, more bombs, more removal. And Surrender could have gone face with that Wrench Caliber, but in a roundabout way, 1 killing the Elic just is much better for him anyway. mainly just to remove the actual trades that the Elite could make, as well as the value of shuffling bombs. And it also just protected the Militia Commander, which ends up being just as much damage as the double swing regardless.
It's not quite like the Rogue Mirror where you can say, all right, I'm going to ignore board completely now. Warrior can definitely come back, so you still want to make sure you don't get board
At
lost.
this point,
All right.
Blastmaster Boom comes down, so Frosty's just saying, okay, let's catch up. But the big problem is, there is a world where Surrender just swings face and Frosty dies.
Just go.
Yeah, I mean...
I'd be surprised to see that, but perhaps. Because if sure, there's a chance that the bombs do kill a Frosty, but if they don't, suddenly this Blastmaster Boom's still on the board, you're taking some damage. The health totals can be flipped pretty quickly.
Yeah. I guess the only thing I was thinking was, if you Warpath to clear the bombs, then play the Dynomatic to do a lot of damage to the Blastmaster Boom, because although he looks like it, that's just a suit. He's not technically a mech.
Correct.
It's just a 7/7. It means that, you know, yes, he can swing the weapon in to kill the Boom, but it depends what Surrender's thinking. He's taking 7 damage no matter what once.
If he wants to kill the Blastmaster Boom, right?
Well, and even if he doesn't kill it,
he's still taking
it swings.
Yeah.
So he takes 7 damage once. And if you can say, okay, I'm going to put more pressure on, there's more wrench calibers, he can take 7 damage about 3-4 times maybe, depending.
Oh,
so
this is interesting from Surrender. He's saying, all right, I'm going to ignore this board. We're going to get you down to the point where 1 or 2 bombs will just finish the game. You can't play Zelix right now. Your board's full. Yeah, I'll take 13 damage a turn. Sure, you're at 80 health.
And also, it would literally mean, you know what, Warpath Ziliax would be the way from Frosty.
Yeah,
and if he does that, well, one, he's used a Warpath, and also it damages the Boom more.
Exactly. Well, even if he goes Warpath and Ziliax can't even magnetize and get the hit in.
Right. So is Shield Slam Ziliax? Is that what we're talking about?
Probably not. He's probably just going to armor up. I don't think it's worth using removal on your own minions here. I think with the shield block, seeing that no bombs are drawn, the armor up, he's saying, all right, 15 health is going to be fine. Let me just... All right, Surrender, let's see what your game plan is. All right, take 13. Or he might even think that Surrender does not have an answer to this. What Surrender could also be doing is waiting a turn, so on turn 9 he can go Warpath, Dynomatic, that way...
It's just clean.
Right. So he still took the 7 damage from the Boom, but then he develops...
Suddenly, Surrender's nearly within range of lethal.
Oh boy. Oh, interesting. So he can choose to clear the board like we mentioned with double Warpath Dynomatic. He can just say, all right, whatever, let me go Dr. Boom Mad Genius this turn, take another 13, although that might be a little bit scary. He could even Harrison just to get rid of the weapon. A couple of options here from Surrender.
I think I like double Warpath Dynomatic. It's very scary. He could actually, depending on how much he cares, Dynomatic first, because Dynomatic is never hitting the bombs anyway.
Right.
So it does the same job. And then double Warpath to just say, okay, bombs, maybe a couple of 4-attack bombs hit the Dynomatic.
Yeah,
a couple, one. But, you know, maybe just something hits the Dynomatic. It's tough, though, because the Warpath also reduces the Dynomatic's health, which makes it a little bit worse. Tough call. Surrender's just going to have to make a decision on how he wants this game to play out now.
I'm very curious to see what he goes for. I think the kind of quote-unquote safer play is just clean up the board with Warpath, which is what we see him doing.
And just deal with the outcome.
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 5, 9, 10, 13, 15. Oh, did he not finish?
I think he might have missed the armor up.
Oh, no, he missed the Warpath, the second Warpath.
Oh, no.
And that's just game.
Warpath. Oh, goodness.
And again! Frosty with the shrug. Like, is there something in the water for these Grandmasters players? Because that's 2 players in 2 matches.